You've seen ancient Rome countless times, in films, documentaries, and games. The armor, the buildings, the objects, they all feel familiar. But how many of these things do you actually know by name? Because behind what looks familiar, there's a vocabulary most people never learn. Let's go through some of the most recognizable elements of ancient Rome, the ones you've definitely seen, but probably never named. The typical Roman soldier, known as a legionnaire, is instantly recognizable for his armor and equipment. He wore the lorica segmentata, the distinctive set of overlapping metal plates that protected his torso while allowing flexibility in battle. On his head, he wore a gallea, a sturdy metal helmet with cheek guards and a neck guard at the back. At his side, he carried a short sword designed for close combat, the gladius. Before engaging, he would often throw a heavy javelin meant to bend on impact, the pilum, and on his feet those open, studded military sandals were known as caligae. In battle, Roman soldiers could form one of the most famous formations in history, locking their shields together above and around them, the testudo, or tortoise. Roman armies also relied on powerful siege weapons. One of them, resembling a giant crossbow, was called a ballista. Another, a torsion-powered catapult designed to hurl stones, was known as an onager. Alongside the soldiers, military units carried standards into battle. A common one was the vexillum, a square flag suspended from a horizontal crossbar. Beyond the battlefield, Roman daily life was just as distinctive. Writing was often done on wooden tablets coated with wax, using a pointed tool called a stylus, which could also erase by smoothing the surface. Goods like wine, olive oil, and fish sauce were transported across the empire in large ceramic containers known as amphorae, designed with narrow necks, two handles, and pointed bases so they could be stacked or fixed into the ground during storage and transport. Personal hygiene involved scraping oil and dirt from the skin using a curved metal tool, the strigil. Roman engineering was remarkably advanced. In bathhouses, they even used a system of underfloor heating called a hypocaust, where hot air circulated beneath raised floors and inside walls. In large amphitheaters, the crowds entered and exited through vast passageways known as vomitoria, a term often misunderstood today. If you want to keep discovering the names and purpose of iconic historical objects, subscribe. Next, we'll explore the Middle Ages, Renaissance, and more of European history. Roman architecture is also instantly recognizable, even if its details are not. Temples featured a triangular section above their columns, an architectural element called a pediment. In a wealthy Roman house, called a domus, the center of daily life was the atrium. This was an open space inside the house, surrounded by rooms on all sides. The atrium served as a reception area for guests, a gathering space for the family, and even a place for conducting business. Light and air entered through the impluvium, the rectangular opening in the roof above, making the atrium the heart of the home. Beneath the impluvium lay the impluvium, a shallow, sunken pool built into the floor. Its purpose was to collect rainwater from the roof, both for practical use and as a decorative, reflective feature. Often lined with marble or stone, the impluvium emphasized the elegance and engineering of Roman domestic architecture. Beyond the atrium, many wealthy Roman homes had a peristyle, a colonnaded garden courtyard. This was an open-air space surrounded by columns, often adorned with fountains, statues, and carefully arranged plants. The peristyle served as a private retreat, a place for relaxation, entertaining guests, and enjoying light and greenery within the home. It reflected both the owner's wealth and their taste for art and nature. Meals were served in a dining room called the triclinium, where guests reclined on couches while eating. Roman houses were built with remarkable craftsmanship. The walls of the domus often used opus reticulatum, a technique of small, diamond-shaped stones set in a net-like pattern, giving the walls both strength and elegance. Later, Romans frequently used opus testaceum, layers of brick facing over concrete, which allowed for taller walls and larger rooms while maintaining durability. These techniques combined practicality, beauty, and the engineering genius of Roman architecture. Most urban Romans, however, did not live in such houses. They lived in multi-story apartment buildings, known as insulae, often crowded and sometimes dangerously unstable. To feed themselves, many relied on the thermopolium, the ancient equivalent of a fast food counter. These small shops served hot food and drinks to passers-by, often displayed in built-in clay jars called dolia, perfect for a quick meal on the go. The thermopolium shows how Roman urban life combined convenience with social interaction, much like today's street food culture. Children often wore protective amulets around their necks, known as bullae, believed to ward off evil. And along Roman roads, travelers encountered stone markers indicating distances. These were the miliaria, or milestones. Ancient Rome is often remembered for its power and achievements, its armies, its architecture, its lasting influence. But sometimes, understanding the past begins with something simpler, learning the names of the things we thought we already knew.